All right, y'all. So I ran for 12 miles the other day, 12.8, 12.9, almost 13 miles. So from Long Island all the way to Jamaica, Queens, about across Island. Little, yeah, past across Island and all that. And man, I'm still feeling it. This was Monday, and today's Wednesday, and my whole body's still sore. Calves, top of my foot, killing me. But I just want to share something with you guys, right? So, when I run, I have all these thoughts running through my head. Mainly I kind of keep one thought, which is just like, to keep me going. But sometimes thoughts pop into my head and I kind of ruminate because you're out there running for 3, 4 hours. It's nothing to do but think, right? And I remember I was thinking, like, does love, like the force of love is a powerful force, right? There's four fundamental forces in life, but there's other sub forces, a lot of forces, but there's four fundamental: the electromagnetic force, gravitational force, strong, and the weak force. Those are four fundamental forces that three of them keep things together. Three of them work to keep things together. The other one destroys things. That's the weak force. The weak force is responsible for radioactivity and stuff like that. So when you ever read anything about beta decay, radioactive decay, that's the weak force at work. It's responsible for erosion, corrosion, corrosiveness, whatever. You know, but the other three forces work to keep things together. But when you think about relationships and why a lot of relationships don't last, a lot, right? Whether you're married or not married, there's just a lot of relationships don't last. Obviously, if you're married, there's you would expect there's a stronger possibility for it to last, but 50% divorce rate still high, and regular relationships most people don't last, and people date. The older you get, the worse it is, and there's a science to that as well, but we're not going to discuss that. What I want to talk about is this: what I've learned. This is just my personal experience, right? This is my opinion. It's I'm 43 years old, so that's 40 plus years of living, so I have some kind of experience, right? I have a beautiful daughter that I love, right? And I'm actively in her life every day, as much as I can. Let's not say every day, but as much as I can, right? And what I've learned is that to make any two people last, any two people work, there's really one thing. There's one thing, and that one thing is commitment. You have to be committed. I put up other videos, and I got a book coming out, by the way. It's in publication right now, being processed in terms of editing and all that good stuff. But there's one thing that I repeated and I talked about, and it's commitment. And I use the analogy of a business, SBA, a small business. Got allergies, y'all. So yeah, I talk about small businesses, right? Or any kind of business. It doesn't have to be small, big, intermediate, whatever. But I use a business as an example, and in order for business to succeed, especially a startup, you have to absolutely be committed. You have to be this. It takes absolute commitment, right? And that is just a perfect analogy for a relationship to work, right? Two people have to wake up. Here's what I've learned. This is what I've learned. This is what I've learned. You have to wake up every day, and like when I'm running, I have these mantras or these affirmations that I say to myself, right? And it's called positive reinforcement. So you might know something already, but you repeat it intermittent at certain intervals while you're running or whatever. And by doing it at a certain frequency, it's called amplification in terms of physics. Amplification, so you're amplifying the force of what you're saying, because every word you use has a force in it. Every single word has a force in it. Words are things. That's why God spoke the universe into existence. He didn't make it. It wasn't a verb. He didn't come down and use his hands. It wasn't physical labor. He spoke it. Words are things. So when what I realized, I don't want to lose my thought. What I realized, like, both parties to the relationship, it has to be a cohesive commitment, right? It has to be a concerted commitment. Both parties have to be concerted, meaning agreed together, unionized on commitment. And here's one of the techniques you have to use in terms of mantras of affirmations. You have to get up every day and tell yourself, I'm committed to the success of this relationship. I'm committed to the success of this relationship. That could be your affirmation, but it has to be done at certain intervals. If you want to take 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever. It's up to you. 2 minutes, seconds, whatever. But I'm learning that that's something you have to do every single day. You have to be committed, and you have to amplify that commitment with his positive affirmations or reaffirmations or positive reinforcement by saying that I'm committed to this relationship. I'm going to see this thing through. And here's the thing. When you need to say that is when things are going really, really bad. Like when the relationship is starting to slide downhill. That's when both parties have to kind of take the bull by the horns, right? Helm the ship, man the ship, right? Steer the ship, whatever. And that's something that both parties have to do. It has to be where done together, individually, doesn't matter. Both parties have to do it for that relationship to weather life's storms. Now, here's the thing. I got another analogy for y'all. But what if we make the commitments? Why can't we just make a commitment one time, like we get married or whatever, or we're in a monogamous relationship? We sit down, we talk about it, have one time, that's it. Why do we have to do it every day? Okay. Pardon me, y'all. My allergies are killing me. My allergies are acting up. Why do we have to do it every day? I'll tell you why. I'm sitting in my car right now, right? I just put some gas in my car. Good analogy. Just put like $20 or whatever. So I got like about 3/4 of a tank. Yeah, about 3/4, right? No, not 3/4. It's about a half. So I got about a half a tank, right? But by the time I drive through to, whatever driving I got to do, because I'm about to drive around, this thing is going to be empty. I'm going to have to refill the tank. But why? Why do I have to refill the tank? I just put gas in it. Why do I have to refill the tank? We just sat down and we made our commitments, and we hashed it out. We evaluated. We did our assessments and reevaluations and blah, 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 blah. Why do we have to keep doing it? For the same reason why you got to keep putting gas in your tank. Your vehicle is burning fuel because of its movement, its motion. You're burning fuel because of motion, right? You're driving, whatever, you're burning fuel. Well, your relationship burns its fuel every single day. No different than how when you drive, you burn fuel in your car. Your relationship is burning the fuel, right? Your relationship takes gas to work. No different than this car takes gas to work. And it depends on what kind of gas you're using, right? Premium, unleaded, whatever, right? 87, whatever, right? The higher quality of gas, the lower the fuel, the gas will burn, you get more mileage. But be that as that may be, the point is, your relationship is burning gas every day. Your relationship burns gas every day. And we can take it to your physical body. You eat at 12, it's lunchtime, you eat. By 5, 4 o'clock, you're hungry again. 6 o'clock, you're hungry again, depending on your appetite, depending on your metabolism, whatever. But you have to refuel your body. It's the same thing with the relationship. The relationship is a separate entity. The car is a separate entity. Your body's a separate entity. The relationship is a separate entity. And the relationship needs gas. So it needs to be recharged. It needs to be refueled. Now, well, okay, we get the car driving, burns the fuel. We get your body moving around all day, your activities, you burn in your metabolic rate, you burn in nutrition, so you need to eat. You need to refuel, eat, whatever. But how does the relationship, I don't get that, right? I could hear like the question in my head, well, what does that mean? Well, here's the thing. Particle science teaches us this. Particle science, if you study physics, particle science shows you, right, that energy, which is frequency, or frequency, energy, same thing. Energies and frequencies are always interacting with each other. And every interaction that particle science teaches you, every interaction between particles always have an impact, always have an influence or effect. And that effect is either a repulsive effect or an attractive effect, right? We can say a positive or negative. So throughout the day, right? Throughout the days, the months, the weeks, the years, the relationship, not the individual, because an individual is not a relationship. Two people makes the relationship is a separate entity. Remember I told you. The relationship is constantly being bombarded, right? Matter of fact, a better example. The Manhattan Project was about splitting the atom. And it was done artificially, man-made devices, technology to split the atom. But In organic state, the way the atom splits is by bombardment of what's called neutrinos. Neutrinos, again, particle science. If you study particle science, particle physics teaches you about neutrinos, which are elementary particles that actually bombards the atom, so much so until the atom splits. You see what I'm saying? So the atom becomes so bombarded by these minuscule, there's a word called infinitesimal, which just means really, really, really small. To the naked eye, you will never see it. But it's being bombarded, the atom is being bombarded by these neutrinos at such high frequency that it splits. And when the atom splits, Hiroshima, the atomic bomb, we all know what happens, right? But that obviously that's on a much epic scale. But the point is the relationship, let's bring it back to the relationship, is constantly being bombarded by these neutrinos. That I'm using the word neutrinos because that's particle science, particle physics, but for all practical purposes, macros, in a macro sense, you and I, neutrinos would be the bills, the kids, the car insurance, car payments, mortgages, light, gas. I said that, bills, same difference. Work, you know, a supervisor that's breathing down your neck, co-workers that's annoying as ever, right? Transportation, maybe you take the bus, maybe you're on the train. I mean, it's life, right? Neutrinos, particle science, would be all of life's stressors. In evolution, they call it selective pressures. Darwinism, selective pressures, research it. It shows you that there's all kind of pressures in your environment. Some you're aware of, most you're not. And these would be the equivalent of what's called the neutrinos in particle physics, particle science. So the relationship is constantly being bombarded. You understand what I'm saying? Your relationship is always under attack. Always, incessantly, continuously, surreptitiously. I like that word. Look that one up. That one's nice. Surreptitiously, right? So the relationship is constantly being attacked. Unbeknownst to the parties in the relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't even know. You don't even know. A lot of times we don't. Because these things are done on a sub-level, subatomic level. You understand what I'm saying? So there's this constant invisible attack on the relationship as an entity. And this is why it is so important that the recommitments are made, you know? The commitment, just the commitment, the constant, I'm gonna see this thing through. I'm committed to this thing. Because at some point, love kind of subsides. It ain't, the honeymoon is over, the rosy butterfly feelings in your stomach, all that goes out the window. Especially, like I said, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids, all that. It ain't about love no more. It ain't about love no more. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's more. It becomes more adulting. Now we're adulting. It's maturation, right? It's maturation. When I say it ain't about love, I mean in a superficial sense. Let me be clear, because I don't want people to say, whatever. In a superficial sense, in a shallow sense, it ain't about that. Like I said, butterfly in your stomach. You feel a little excited about the person. You can't wait to see them. You got the googly eyes, and that feeling you get. That's all. That's the initial stage, right? That's the amplification of that energy. That energy, the dopamine, right? The DOSE. What love? Real quick, chemically, because we're biochemical creatures. We're biochemical creatures. You know what love is? In terms of not the feeling, but the biology, love is extreme. Well, it's DOSE, dose. Those are the acronyms. Dose stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, right? DOSE, dose. And it's interesting that these four chemicals spell dose, and each release a dose of itself in your brain. So love, when people say they're in love, it's an extreme secretion of oxytocin, I believe. It's either oxytocin or serotonin. No, oxytocin. It's oxytocin. Serotonin is the one that's released to make you not get depressed. So if people are depressed, that's because their brain is not secreting enough serotonin. That's why when you go to the doctor, they give you something called, what is it? Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Right, SSRI. That's what they give you from doctors, and that's supposed to help the brain release more serotonin. So oxytocin is the love chemical. When you're in love, you fit that chemical secretes in your brain throughout your central nervous system, and that's why you get all the jitteries and shit, and you make all kind of bad decisions for your life, right? You know what I'm saying? Fuck your life up. But so that oxytocin, but what happens when you meet somebody, your brain secretes all of these things in different levels. So that's why different people can make you feel a certain way, because one person might stimulate more oxytocin than another person. Another person might stimulate more dopamine, which dopamine is an amazing thing that makes you feel good as well. They all make you feel good, but just for different reasons or whatever. So it all depends. But here's the thing: once you're in the neutrinos of life kicks in, those chemicals, if they were secreting in the first couple of weeks or a couple of months when you met somebody, or a couple of years, it depends. If they were secreting at a percentage of, let's say, 15-20%, between 15 and 20%, after the neutrinos of life hit you, the neutrinos, particle science of life hit you, the relationship, those chemicals start secreting at much lower levels. So if they were 15 and 20, now they're secreting at maybe 5, 4, 3%. That's why you get tired of each other. That's why people get tired of each other, because the biochemicals are no longer firing on all cylinders. They're firing, but they're not firing on all cylinders. They're not firing at large quantities and large amounts. And that's where now, this is where I say it ain't about love, because that's what love does. Love keeps those things firing, and that's what love is biochemically. Biochemically, if you had to put your finger on love, I would say it's those 4 chemicals. That's what love is from a biological perspective. If you look at it from a spiritual perspective, God is love, love is God. If you look at it from a scientific perspective, right? Because there's different ways of looking at it. It's a frequency that creates a feeling. It's an energetic entity that creates a feeling, an affection. You look at it from a biochemistry standpoint, it's those 4 chemicals. So I just gave you what love is spiritually, biochemistry, and scientifically. Right? So when I say it ain't about love, it's not so that much that it ain't about love. It is about love, but it's about a different kind, because there's different kind of loves. There's eros love, right? That's romantic love, I believe. There's philos, right? From where you get the word Philadelphia, which means brotherly love. And then there's agape love, which is unconditional love. These are the Greek terminology for different kind of love. So it's not that it ain't about love. It's just that love changes its gears. It shifts its gears from that, initial stage. And I think I lost myself a little bit here, but let me just wind it up by saying, commitment. If you ask me what's the key to a successful relationship, is both parties being conscious that they're going to get up every day and commit themselves to the success of that relationship. No different than the owner operator of a small business, mid-cap business, large cap business, whatever, gets up and commits himself to the success of his startup company. Till next time, peace.